It's exciting new opportunities for the investment-minded, but it's also volatile and accelerating in complexity. That's why we created Token Metrics, an intelligent crypto platform backed by an industry-leading combination of data, AI, and media that feeds optimized portfolios to crypto investors. Featuring Token Metrics ratings to help you find the best investment opportunities in real time, an indices page that showcases various model portfolios, and deep insights into price predictions and technical analysis. A dedicated NFT dashboard that evaluates NFT collections and assets by our machine learning algorithm to find the most profitable and secure NFTs across all available blockchains. Plus, with access to Token Metrics TV, monitor 24/7 exclusive crypto news and analysis. Whether you're a first-time trader or a seasoned crypto investor, you can stay informed and in control, backed by your all-in-one crypto companion, Token Metrics. Take control of crypto today at tokenmetrics.com.
All right. Hello, crypto family.
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
Happy Friday. Welcome to Token Metrics Live. I'm your host, Ian Belina, founder and CEO of Token Metrics, and also general partner at Token Metrics Ventures. Looking forward to the stream. Hope you're all doing well. All right. Let's see. First up on the stream, we have AZ. What's up, AZ? Good to have you here. We got Jackson, Asif, Red Zebra. Good to have you here. A long time no see. Alpha Diallo. What's up? DeRay, the philosopher. Lightning Speed, Kiran, Sushi. All right, welcome to the stream. Let me pull up the Mentimeter here. So this is going to be just an old school AMA. We're doing straight AMA, not too much with everything else. So if you have any questions you would like to submit, go to menti.com and just, MENTI.com. Code is 7810-0121, 7810-0121, or just scan this QR code. Submit your questions, any questions you want to ask us or me, Token Metrics. Not financial advice, of course. This is me just providing my personal opinion. Always do your own research, as we like to say. Let me see. And as we like to say, don't take that L. Manage your risk in crypto adequately. All right, so with that being said, make sure to follow us on social, on Token Metrics, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of course, LinkedIn, and the podcast. All right, so with that being said, let's hop straight into the stream. And surprise, surprise, the question we get almost every single time, what's the next 100x coin? What is your top 500x coin and coins and why? All right, so to beat a dead horse, let's go through this again. This is as of June 9th, 2023. What are the top, if I had to pick top 500x coins, in my opinion, not financial advice, I think you have to frame the context, right? So let's begin with, right now, it's basically summer 2023. And for those of you who've been following us on YouTube for a while, I've mentioned that historically speaking, after every Bitcoin halving, there's been about 15 to 16 months of parabolic price action, basically a bull run, right? So looking at the data, if a bull run after the Bitcoin halving, which is projected to be happening next year, around April 2024, so we have about 10 months now to accumulate until a bull run will happen post Bitcoin halving that will likely last about 15 months. If we measure this out, that basically gives us until summer 2025, about 2 years for that to be the top of the bull run. This is a projection. This could be a moving target, right? Because Bitcoin price can always change and the market changes. But for now, this is the target, right? So basically, we have 2 years for that to be the top of the bull run. If that's the top, what projects do I think within 2 years can do 100x is basically the question, right? I want to give you the context. So now we have to say, okay, in 2 years, what are going to be the big narratives? And typically it's sort of the same narratives, but you also have some new narratives. If we study history, the big narratives in the past cycles were we had DeFi summer, right? DeFi 1.0, DeFi 2.0, and then we had NFTs. And with each bull run, there was a big narrative that was initially started by a big catalyst. So for DeFi summer, DeFi 1.0, I would say the big catalyst was essentially Uniswap and DEXs, right? Because in the past, we had all these other DEXs that weren't so good. Ether Delta, for those of you who know 2016, 2017 days. Then you had Uniswap and the AMM, Automated Market Maker. That was a 0-to-1 innovation and improvement that basically began DeFi summer, the first DeFi summer. And that began the first bull run. You basically and then I would also say Compound, basically doing airdrops and basically introducing yield farming was also a huge catalyst. That was also a 0-to-1 improvement. So those two began the first bull run. And you basically had all these forks, all these food forks, right? You had Sushi, you had Farm, Yam, all this, right? That was the first, I think, big catalyst, big narrative to really take off. You heard Yearn Finance, YFI launch with a big airdrop that made people a lot of money. Then you also had, then after a while, that kind of petered out. Then things cooled off for a bit. Then you had DeFi summer, DeFi 2.0 again. And this time the 0-to-1 innovation or the big narrative were Olympus DAO, right? And basically protocol owned liquidity. That was a big narrative. Then you had all these other protocols, layer one blockchains that were EVM compatible, right? EVM layer ones, like Avalanche. Basically, they began forking Olympus DAO and creating their own protocol owned liquidity. So you had Time Wonderland and Avalanche really taking off. So that was the other DeFi summer, right? And somewhere in the middle of that, you also had other DeFi projects doing well, like Synthetix, SNX. But that was more so in the bear market leading up to DeFi summer. Then for NFTs, the big catalysts were you had OpenSea really take off, right? A marketplace that was more accessible to retail and just crypto users in general to purchase, to buy, sell, and trade NFTs, right? I think that was a big catalyst. And then you also had Bored Apes, became the first NFT collection to really break away and take off. You had others like Etherox and others, right? So I think those were the big narratives. So we have DeFi 1.0, DeFi 2.0, and we had NFTs. And combined, all those big narratives really catapulted the last bull run cycle. So now taking those narratives and saying, okay, what are going to be the next? I'm sorry. I would also even add in other L1s. There are always new shiny L1s coming into the market. So you had Solana, right? They did almost 1,000x basically. Right? You had Polygon, Helium, and lots of other projects. But I think the big winners were Solana becoming a top 10 market cap project from private sale or ICO. For those of you who got in early, under $1, it went up to I think like $250. And then some people in private sale got in under $1, of course. Now, from now, if we have 2 years, what are the next big narratives, right? And we have to see, okay, where are developers going, right? So the big narratives we're looking at here at Tokenmetrics. Definitely be sure to follow us at tokenmetrics.com. Join, create a free account, get on the newsletter. And if you have a paid plan, definitely join me for the premium webinar that happens on Wednesdays. But the big narratives I'm looking at are basically looking at developer activity and reports. What's trending is Move programming language, right? So we're looking at, okay, what in the Move ecosystem could be big? And people in crypto always want new shiny L1s. So the big ones right now that are Move compatible would be Sui and Aptos. I could see them potentially being kind of like Solana. But with that being said, I think they've already launched at a very high valuation. They already launched at basically, they're now like what, top 30 market cap or valuation FDV. But I think the big narratives are, there will always, every cycle there's always a new shiny L1 that does well. And even a new shiny L2 that does well. So those historically are undefeated. Every bull run, there's an L1, L2 that does 100x or more, right? So I would have to have one of those in my portfolio, right? Me personally, that I think has a low valuation, right? Polygon did over 900x from the bottom, from the all-time low to the all-time high last cycle, but it's because it launched at a very undervalued valuation, right? When it did its Binance Launchpad, it was basically under it was 25 million FTV. I think it was 20 million, maybe even lower in terms of market cap. So can we find projects that are 20 million, let's say under $30 million or more in market cap or valuation, that can do 100x? Those are the parameters now we're defining, and preferably they should be web projects, right? Web3 projects, layer ones, layer zeros even, right? For interoperability, that's a big narrative, and maybe L2. I wouldn't really have too many dApps in there. So that's kind of the context we're framing for this question, right? The question is, this person is asking, what are the top 500x coins and why? I'm creating the parameters, right? So under $30 million valuation, there are either L1, L2, or L0, right? L1's hour is a big narrative, especially helping crypto scale, right? Higher TPS, higher transactions per second. That was the big narrative for Solana. But okay, what is the next Solana for next cycle within 2 years, right? And the big ones we're talking about, if I actually just go through CoinGecko real quick, right? We talked about Aptos Suite, but I think those FTVs don't meet the $30 million or more FTV, right? But now, what are projects out there we like that we've come across in our research, especially on our fund side, that either fit the L1, L2, L0 thesis, right? So the ones that really come to mind, I've mentioned Obscuro before. That's an L2 for privacy, but that could be, if these, not everybody, that could be a challenge going mainstream with privacy. Not every crypto company or crypto, I would say it has lots of regulation and compliance risk, right? In terms of privacy, for example, with privacy coins. But I'm just going to kind of name off different projects on our radar, right? So Obscuro, actually, I think I have a video coming out on this, right? This is one I think worth looking into. It's a layer 2 solution that's basically a hybrid approach between optimistic rollups and ZK rollups. I think ZK is going to be a huge narrative. The question is, there are ZK projects that are going to be under $30 million FTV, right? Because there's ZK Sync. And I think the airdrop will definitely make money, but I believe if they launch, like nowadays, like Arbitrum launched, Optimism launched, well, great projects, great technology, their FTVs, their valuation is way too high to do 100x return on it, unless you're getting an airdrop. But in terms of buying this on exchanges, that's not going to happen, right? Like this is definitely worth watching. I think this could be a big airdrop. Definitely keep this in mind, because ZK is going to be a huge narrative, right? So I think the big narratives for next cycle, we have ZK, we have rollups, so ZK rollups, optimistic rollups, layer 0 interoperability. So ZK is one. In the past, we've covered Tyco. This also fits the ZK narrative. I'm going to pull this up here, right? Type 1 ZK EVM. But same thing, like all of these are already, equity-wise, they're already launching at, or they've already raised capital at over $1 billion valuation. So in terms of doing 100x, that I'm not so sure, but I want to put this on everybody's radar for those of you that are looking to earn airdrops for being part of any testnet incentive programs. So you have that. You have Scroll, ZK, EM, right? So I just want to pull all these up for everybody. So all these are worth watching, right? Native ZK EVM scaling solution for Ethereum. All right, but in terms of what we're seeing on the venture side, right? Obscuro, we invested in. This was about 30 million FTV. One other project I've covered before is Ola VM. This is about $40 million FTV. It's also a ZK VM. Hasn't launched yet. This is probably going to launch sometime next year. Obscuro is going to launch, I believe, sometime second half of this year. They are doing a testnet program as well, so I think there will be an airdrop for that. And I believe this will also, all these blockchains will basically have airdrops. So Ola VM, one we have been looking at last month and we invested in and like the narrative. It's called Dogeman Network. I covered this before. Just want to bring all these up here. So I'm just going to go through all these lists and then try to narrow it down to the ones I think could do 100x, right? So Dojima reminds me of Polygon because team's also based from India. This is basically more of a L0, right? So you have basically cross-chain EVM layer for Ethereum applications. Then you also have what they call the Hermes layer. That's a Cosmos SDK that connects to all these other blockchains. So Cosmos, Polkadot, Binance, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Arweave. This was, I believe, about under 40 million FTV. So these are very early stage. These have not launched yet, right? So these three have not launched yet. Some of the projects that have come across, if we go to our research site, if you go to research.tokenmetrics.com, we have different projects we like to share. All right, so we have our hidden gems. So I'm going to open this. I'm going to open up some other projects that we like. Hidden gems is basically the best products we come across each week during our research. So I want to pull some projects here, right? So Dojima was covered on there. We had Caspo. This is already trading on public markets. This is already on hidden gems, but I want to go through that as well. Ola VM Obscure, that was covered earlier as well, hidden gems. Oh, actually, let me open up some of these other projects here. All right, so I covered Roosh on the last stream, but let me just pull that up as well. It's a project we like, but it's still somewhat early stage. We've not invested in it, but it's on our watch list. It's a private project, hasn't launched yet, but it's basically, if I go through here, this is basically an L2 for Move, right? So I mentioned how the Move programming language is going to be a big narrative, Aptos Sui. So this could basically ride that headwind, right? It could basically ride that wave, right? Where a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if Aptos and Sui do well, currently I believe they're raising at about under $50 million FTV. But I don't believe they're going to be launching until maybe Q4. But this is one on the radar. So for now, we're just kind of waiting to see the project get better fundamentals, achieve a lot more. But it's definitely on our radar for potential Move play. One I had covered as well was Movement Labs. This one is, in our opinion, we believe Roosh has a team that's more senior compared to Movement. Movement is a more junior team, but Movement does have backing from Avalanche Labs. Actually, this is not it. Is this? No, this is not it. This is the wrong Movement. All right, let me get the right site. Just give me 1 second. What happened here? Okay, let me. Just give me a minute here. All right. Okay, so with that being said, I'm pulling this up here. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, all right, back. Yeah, this is one also on the watch list. This is more early stage. It hasn't launched yet. Further behind in terms of roadmap than Roosh, but both of these are on our radar for playing the whole Move narrative for next cycle. Because if we have 2 years, that narrative we think could take off. Then interoperability. I had mentioned Dojima, but let me see if there's some other projects we want to pull up here. Yeah, Fuji Finance is on our radar. This is a lending protocol. We've not invested in this, but we may. This basically fits the whole cross-chain narrative. So interoperability and cross-chain, we think is going to be a big narrative for next cycle. So this is on our radar, right? I believe they're still trying to raise, but I think that might be announced eventually, maybe next quarter. But this fits the cross-chain narrative. Basically, think of this, if I just read this, cross-chain lend, borrow, and optimizer. So this is on our watch list and radar, a project that we like. I believe we may have covered this on the research site. Caspa. This has been popping up a lot on Investor Grade on Tokenmetrics, the platform, and we finally looked into it, and it is legit. It's currently on public markets. To go through here, basically, is they claim to be the fastest open source blockchain, or DAG, fully scalable layer 1. And pulling this up here on Tokenmetrics. So let's see here. Yeah, so pulling this up here on Tokenmetrics Caspa. Yes, because most of these other projects I covered are private market projects, but there are some public market projects, right? So currently it has an FTV of under 300 million. So it's not the 30 million benchmark, but not everybody can get access to private sale or venture deals, right? So this is one to definitely keep an eye on, all right? So, but if you come here to Investor Grade, right, it's currently in the buy, under 80%. Now, for this to do 100x, we have to go from 300 million FTV to 30 billion. Maybe not as probable as a project going from 30 million FTV to 3 billion, right? So this would not be on the initial list, but I believe on the fund side, we're actually, I think we may have purchased this in our long-term public market portfolio for the fund, right? So that's one of the projects currently out there. Let me see the other projects on the list that come to mind. Ola VM covered. GameSwift. Okay, so GameSwift actually we did invest in. And this, I think they're about to launch. Let me pull this up here. And I believe GameSwift was on, I think, about $30 or $40 million valuation, if I recall. This has the ZK narrative and gaming, right? So if you think gaming is going to be a big narrative within 2 years, next cycle, right? This is definitely a project we would put on a watch list or on a radar, right? So basically, it says empowering the mass adoption of Web3 games. If we go to, yeah, so they're basically doing a lot of things. But for anybody who's building games, we think developers will like this, right? It says ZK EVM scalability. It's kind of across. They're doing stuff with Polygon. They're doing stuff with ZK and gaming. So we think this could catch that tailwind or headwind, whatever you want to phrase it as, right, of gaming as a big narrative and ZK as a big narrative. And basically, it allows developers to just build better games. Right, so definitely worth checking this out. It's called GameSwift. So that's kind of our exposure to gaming. Let me see if there are any other projects that come to mind. So there's one we researched and covered, but I think the review might be coming out. This one we did not invest in. We liked it, but valuation was too high. I believe it was like $135 million valuation. So it's definitely over the 30 million valuation sweet spot or under. But I want to just put this on people's radar. Right? It's called Analog.one is the site. It says the world's first layer 0 blockchain powered by proof of time. Definitely worth looking into this, right? We like it, just didn't make sense at the valuation, but it's still on our watch list. Like, this is a project, I would not be surprised if this project launched on CoinList down the road, right? Now, speaking of that, one of the questions somebody had is, this other project called Archway. That's actually launching on CoinList, I believe, this month. It says an incentivized L1 blockchain that allows developers to capture the value. Basically, it's an L1, I believe, on Cosmos, which goes back to the other big narratives, right? I think Cosmos ecosystem is going to be a huge narrative for next cycle, right? If we're targeting within 2 years, where developers are going to be gravitating to, we already know Ethereum is the best place for developers, right? So that's not going to change. But I believe Ethereum is becoming more modular, right? So, and modular blockchains is a big narrative as well. So, and so are rollups. So we have Optimism, we have Arbitrum, we have Base by Blockchain. So I can definitely see more projects launching on those L2s. However, Cosmos has been on the up and up. We're seeing a lot of developers fleeing from other ecosystems like Polkadot into Cosmos, for example, right? Cosmos has gained more than a net change of 22% versus Polkadot in terms of cross-chain developers and all that. So we would not be surprised if developers built the next 100x on Cosmos. If that's going to happen, how's it going to happen? I think an EVM blockchain is going to do that. So the blockchains I've mentioned before, right? Dojima, but one on public markets that we've covered before that did a 7x in the bear market is Canto, right? So Canto, I would not be surprised if that kept on doing well, although right now the valuation is not under 30 million. That's why this is more of a public market play, right? $150 million FTV, $74 million market cap. But this could still do 100x, I think, in a bull run. By summer 2025, if people want an easy way to port EVM applications right into the Cosmos ecosystem, I think the ways to do it would be Canto. We've also covered Kava. Bring that up. This has a slightly higher FTV or valuation. Yeah, this is over $500 million, but worth watching. And then the other exposure I'd say is Dojima. But basically, you have Cosmos ecosystem and the Move ecosystem. Two would keep an eye on. And then cross-chain interoperability and modular blockchains, right? So like Roosh is modular, and I believe so is Movement. But this is more Move ecosystem. Now, if we go to actually Solana, if you think Solana is going to bounce back, one of the projects that I think is actually doing an ICO, is it Neon Labs? This is an EVM on Solana, right? So I'm not sure what they're raising at. Let me actually see if we can find this information. But think about this. Imagine now Solana bouncing back and any EVM application being able to just run on Solana. That's going to be huge. So we now have an L2 EVM on Solana that's basically about to launch. So this is definitely worth keeping an eye on as well. But the question is, what is their valuation? Token sale is active. Yeah, let's just check a few things here. Yeah, let's check the roadmap real quick. Okay, yeah, they have mainnet basically 2024. But I think definitely worth looking into this for testnet. They could have an airdrop. This is just basically showing not much on this website here. Because there is 40 million, so this is probably going to be one of those billion-dollar projects. This was back in 2021, right? So last cycle. But I think definitely worth keeping an eye on this one. Right? But basically, we're looking at all these other L1, L0s, EVM blockchains. The ecosystems I would actually be avoiding. Not to kind of poo-poo on them, but you want to follow where the big narratives are going, right? And I keep on going back to this developer report done by Electric Capital, because it's a good way to understand where developers are gravitating to, right? And understanding these narratives, looking at this, right? Ethereum is still going to be king. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, but devs are leaving Polkadot. I think that's a huge concern. Cosmos, as I mentioned, is on the up and up. Solana lost developers, but it's still, I still think it's going to bounce back. Polygon is actually losing developers here, and which is kind of surprising. But I think relative to everything else, that's fine. But Near lost 30%. Cardano actually gained some devs. Now, I don't know if there are any Cardano EVMs out there, but that would be pretty interesting. But as mentioned, sorry, let me just go back here, all right? The big ecosystems, Aztec, Sui, Aptos, showing the most growth, although protocol-wise, number of developers is still pretty low relative to Ethereum, but worth watching. We have Celestia, we have Ton, right? I think all these are definitely worth watching, right? But Aztec and Starknet also worth watching for as ecosystems, right? So all those are projects worth watching. One other one we like, I covered before, Say Network, but the last fundraise was at an $800 million FDV. So all those basically not likely to happen in terms of 100x returns, but I could see this being a top 30 market cap project easily, very easily. All right, so all these different projects I'm kind of putting out there, right? So everybody can kind of go out there, do their own research. But if I had to choose, okay, which ones could do 100x, it would have to be the ones that haven't launched yet, that have under $30 million FDV, right? And those are still the ones we're looking at, or we've looked at or invested in, right? I've mentioned Obscura. Then I mentioned Ola, VM. I mentioned Dojima Network. Fuji Finance is on the radar. Cross-chain lending. This, I would say, compare this to kind of like Aave, right? This is on a watch list. We're just waiting for more info, but may end up investing. Then actually, I didn't cover Nolus. Nolus is a lending protocol. $20 million FDV in Cosmos, so fits the whole Cosmos narrative, right? So as we project Cosmos to do better or grow in developers over the next 2 years, this is kind of our exposure to lending in Cosmos, so cross-chain lending. What else? What else would I add? Just give me a minute. Let me just check up the chat and see where we are here. Okay, so let's actually also leverage token metrics and just see if we go to ratings. So now we're going to check public markets. We're going to go to customize. And we're going to do let me just do a filter here. So we only want to look at products that are liquid, more than 10 million FDV. I'm sorry, 10 million daily trading volume. And rather than FDV, I'm just going to use market cap this time, which I rarely do. But let's say we only want products less than $30 million market cap that are trading currently. And then we're going to look at the actual investor grade. Actually, so not much, actually. Actually, I was expecting a lot more. Huh. Do I have other filters here? Okay, let me actually reduce this to 1 million for now, because we are in a bear market. So maybe not much liquidity. Okay, we got 30 million or more or less. Now let's sort by investor grade and see what we get. Yeah, most of these, honestly, I do not like. Here, I'm going to do investor grade greater than 60%. And we're going to sort by change in investor grade in the last 7 days. And yeah, I'm not really seeing anything here I like, honestly. Okay, how about this? For public markets, it's hard to really get that market cap. Let's reduce this. Let's say, actually, it's not bad. This explains it. Yeah, less than or equal to 30 million market cap. All right, so let's try this again. Let's try 10 million or more trading volume. Yeah, so it's still the same. Okay, so let's actually try 100 million. All right, so yeah, this is a slightly better list. So if we have to expand this and say, okay, let's only look at projects under $100 million market cap that are trading publicly, so not just venture deals or private sales, right? The ones we like, we've covered before, IDEX, worth keeping an eye on this, right? I'm going to pull this up here. ARPA, this one has been coming up a lot. It's basically a Chinese blockchain. So the whole China narrative. If you're bullish on China and Asia, especially what happened with Hong Kong, making crypto regulated for retail to purchase, and you think that's going to be big for the next cycle post Bitcoin halving, this not financial advice we think is worth looking into to ride that narrative if that's part of your portfolio strategy. And honestly, that's pretty much it that I would be looking at on this list right now. But basically, IDEX, basically anybody who wants a DEX or a perpetual DEX protocol, if you think that's going to be a big narrative, kind of like GMX, but more undervalued. And they'll be launching on, basically it says the first layer 3 derivatives exchange. So if you think that's going to be big, right? Because post FTX, all these centralized entities and exchanges, and even now, maybe even post Binance, right? Especially Binance US with the whole SEC and even Coinbase, people might gravitate more towards DEXs for trading. And if people want to degen or trade, GMX is great, but while great, I think there's no 100x return in GMX, right? It's already at a high valuation. Relative to that, I think IDEX is worth keeping an eye on. And why is this not letting me scroll? Let me refresh. Yeah, but basically, they'll be launching, I think, on Polygon ZK EVM. So worth watching that narrative. But I think at their FDV, this is definitely worth watching, I believe. Then the other one, ERPA, if basically slightly over 100 million FTV, market cap under 55 million. But if you want to ride the China narrative next cycle, this I think is good exposure, right? And they have great backing, Coinbase, Binance Labs. So actually, where is it trading? Let me take a look. It's on Binance, but maybe you can get a Coinbase listing. Who knows? But maybe they might be adding too many tokens now while they're being challenged by the SEC. So all these are different products I think could do well, personally, in the next 2 years. If we're targeting summer 2025 as the top of the bull run, as a time to take profits, cash out, take money off the table, right? Now, which ones will do 100x? At the end of the day, nobody knows, but we can try to increase our odds and increase the probability of getting 100x. And I think we do it with that approach. If you're looking at public market projects, you try to target $100 million market cap or lower, preferably FDV, but sometimes that's not really there. And then on the private markets, honestly, the ones we like, we typically share on research. So I would say just make sure to follow Tokenmetrics, create your free account. We'll add you to the list. Tokenmetrics Research, which is research.tokenmetrics.com. And different projects we find, we share those with you, right? So Hidden Gems is us sharing the top 5 projects we come across each week out of looking at 30 or more projects in the week. And then Code Reviews, we shared products based on the technology, right? So like Caspa is already on public markets. And as we come across more projects, we like to share those with you. All right, so I didn't really give you 5. I gave you different options, right? Obviously, the ones we like, we're biased, right? So, but I want people to have different options to choose from, whether public markets or venture. And yeah, let me check the chat here. People were saying they like Caspa. Harmony, one from today's price. Yeah, I mean, Harmony is good tech, but that's definitely worth. Okay, so here, let me just maybe reset all this, right? So if we say, you know what? Okay, FTV is fine. if we actually increase this, right? Let's say we think a project can do 100x at $500 million FTV, right? If we really want to expand upon this, let's keep on. Let's boost this. Let's say 500 million or less market cap. This would get us some better projects, but let's see here. So on this list, what do I like? Actually, I want to sort. Yeah, it is sorted by changing. Let's sort by investor grade instead. So, yeah, Anchor we like. I think that could do well. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. Ocean Protocol. This gives you the whole data AI narrative. This is actually the ones on the start are in our funds portfolio. So Anchor, we have Anchor, Ocean. So Anchor kind of fits the whole data and liquid staking and infrastructure narrative. But AI I definitely could see being a big narrative. Ocean Protocol is worth keeping an eye on. I think Oasis. I think we got out of Oasis because this is basically privacy EVM. But I think we preferred more because $500 million FTV, that's high. Loopring, I believe we have. I'm not sure if we might be getting out of it, or maybe we already did. Helium Mobile. Helium could bounce back, but for 100x again in 2 cycles, that's tough. Fetch.ai, this we have, AI narrative play. Looking at the rest, yeah, I think that's basically it. Let me actually see. Maybe there's some other projects I've not shared yet on the venture side. I go to a funds public portfolio. Let me take a look. Browse all investments. Now, most of these are typically under, I would say, 40 million FTV. But obviously depends on where each person gets that at. Million is going to be a higher FTV. Nibiru as well. Yeah, EthosX worth looking into. It's basically trading. But yeah, I think that's basically the gist of it. So hopefully that helps. But let me know what you think. So let me know, what are your top 500x coins, right? So if I had to choose, if you told me, hey, you have to choose 5 right now that you think can 100x, right? And yeah, I would say you got Obscura or Ola for the whole ZK EVM narrative. Obscura is further ahead, so I think they probably have a better shot within summer 2025. Because if Ola launches tail end of this year or early next year, actually, yeah, if Ola launches next year, they have basically about a year or less, but that's possible. Part of the team comes from Qtum. Dojima, I like. Lending wise, I would say Nolus. Fuji we like as well. Fuji is probably going to have 2x the valuation of Nolus. I think Fuji is trying to raise at 44 to 45 million FTV, if I'm correct. I'll keep tabs on, I think GameSwift, gaming wise, I think gaming could be a big narrative, the whole metaverse, especially with what's happening with Apple, right? Apple and the Apple Pro Vision. I haven't even talked about that, right? But gaming as a sector could do well, right? And I think this is worth watching. And I think, when are they gonna, let me go to the roadmap. What was roadmap? Is it at the bottom? Yeah, so roadmap. Yeah, mainnet launching should be Q2. So let's say next quarter, worst case, right? ZK EVM, L2 integration, and gaming. I think, what is this? Yeah, GameSwift and Polygon, Microsoft grant. Yeah, I think gaming, this honestly, I think has Polygon vibes. Polygon invested, so did Hashed, and actually Caspa. So they might be doing some stuff on Caspa. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones right now. All right, that being said, let's move on to the next question. That was a long answer. Okay, any thoughts on FTX being revived under new management? Do you see any notable DEXs or new centralized exchanges taking significant market share? 3 Hours Capital Open Exchange, Gains Trade, thanks. Okay, so FTX being revived, I mean, that's a crypto story. Only in crypto, right, where you go bankrupt, lose billions of money, and then relaunch an exchange, and people still use the exchange, right? I think that's possible in crypto. Now, do I see any notable DEXs or SEXs doing well? Yeah, I mean, I think Uniswap will still do well, but I think perpetual protocols, derivatives, is an area to watch. I didn't really cover this, but the ones on the radar that we like, this one is called Gravity. I think I've covered this before. It was part of the hidden gems. Actually, if I switch to this tab here, right? So we did cover this on the hidden gems. There's still fundraising, I believe, but it scored pretty well. This one, I think we're hoping to invest, or working to invest, but this definitely worth keeping an eye on. There's Epicenter of crypto trading, institutional grade trustless trading infrastructure for crypto. Yeah, so this worth looking into. I'm not sure. Actually, they're not fundraising anymore, but I'm not sure about tokenomics for all this. But worth keeping an eye on this in terms of launching. I think it's 40 million under FTV. So that's one. Then in one of the reports we had, let me see, hidden gems. There was D8X. This we did not invest, but very interesting project. Basically, they're building on Polygon. Actually, is it the same? Actually, it's the same post. If we, let me just pull this up as well. So if anybody likes Polygon ecosystem, all right, this is D8X.exchange, basically a DEX on Polygon. One we like that we actually invested in, Ethos X. Yeah, so this one worth looking into, all right? It's a derivatives trading platform as well. I think all these are going to be big narratives, right? So all these are basically worth looking into. Then we came across one this week that might actually be covered in hidden gems. I'm not sure if it's, I don't think it's here yet. Then go to hidden gems section. Yeah, it's not covered yet, but what was it? I would have to find out it, but EthosX worth looking into. I said D8X Gravity as well. Now, I don't really see anybody competing with Uniswap and taking market share. All right. If we go to what ecosystems would be good for trading, and I think look for ZK trading, anything with ZK trading, right? So I mentioned IDEX. IDEX could compete with GMX. I don't know if they're get the same market share or surpass them. That is probably unlikely, but I do think they're undervalued relative to where they are and the tech. Right? I don't really know too much projects. I don't, if any projects doing trading on Sui or Aptos, but I could see that doing well if those L1s take off. We've got Aztec and ZK. I think ZK trading, because ZK, if people can trade and get privacy, I could see those doing well. All right, so I feel like those are the ones worth watching. But that's all that's really coming to mind. Do I see any centralized exchanges gaining market share? Well, I think if Binance US has already stopped or paused, yeah, I think they've suspended deposits for Binance US. So I think all that capital is going to go elsewhere. And then Binance itself, if they're going through challenges, I'm not saying Binance is going to go down like FTX, but people are going to try to take capital away from centralized entities, right? Not your keys, not your coins or crypto. So if people want to self custody and trade on the on DEXs, you basically have Uniswap. SushiSwap is still competitive, but I don't think they're going to surpass Uniswap anytime soon. I would not be surprised if the SEC goes after Uniswap next, honestly, to really try to slow down DeFi. But I think there will be, I think and I hope there will be clarity and regulation in the US around crypto, especially with the draft bill that's been proposed by, I think, Senator Patrick Henry or McHenry. I think it's called the crypto bill or something. But yeah, and with elections happening, hopefully the SEC gets their act together. And but anyway, those are the DEXs I would see. And you have DYDX, the valuation is way too high. In the Cosmos ecosystem, I mean, there's a project, we have some of the projects we like, but those are the ones that really come to mind. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me go on to the next question. Does the regulatory action against Binance concern you? Yes and no. I mean, first of all, it's just going through the different, whatever was leaked and whatever the SEC is quoting, right? That the compliance officer basically was very bearish against Binance's regulation or compliance. But at the end of the day, people in crypto will find a way to bounce back, all right? Whether it was Mt. Gox, whether FTX, Celsius, or even Binance. Binance could go down. It would be a big hit for crypto, but that liquidity will go elsewhere. I think people would gravitate more towards Coinbase, gravitate more towards DEXs. And yeah, but it does. So in the short term, yes. Long term, no. I'm a perma bull on crypto, long term bullish on crypto. With this being open money and the innovation of finance, the next internet, and I don't see this long term going away. Regulators just have to figure this stuff out, and that's going to take time. So I am concerned short term, long term, not so much. It's not looking good for Binance. I think Binance basically is probably going to settle. I don't think they want all this to be brought up into the open. I don't think they want the dirty laundry to be aired in the public. Coinbase, not so much. Coinbase has been a more compliant company, right? Binance has kind of been the wild, wild west early on, right? Hence the chats that have been made public of the compliance officer from Binance. So I think they're probably going to want to settle. But if they want to go public with it, I mean, oh boy. But either way, we have the biggest exchanges in the crypto space, Binance and Coinbase now, going out there and now competing, or not competing, I would say rather contesting the lack of clarity from regulators, especially in the US with the SEC and the CFTC, which is good for crypto. So I think this is going to be bullish for crypto long term, right? Because now we'll get more clarity. And once that happens, I anticipate that to be positive for crypto and for crypto to do well. All right, moving on to the next question on the AMA. Have you checked out Nexa, similar tech to Kaspa? No, I have not. I think we may have covered this actually before. Let me actually just skip some of these questions. I want to go to questions that not so much individual tokens. Okay, do you think we will see a huge bull run like previous ones? Not for Bitcoin. Historically speaking, Bitcoin's returns shrink after every halving, but we will still have 100x returns in altcoins. Altcoins are the ones that will make you rich, right? Every cycle you have 100x returns, and sometimes even 1000x returns. So I don't think those are going away anytime soon, right? But in terms of seeing large, yeah. So basically, Bitcoin, no. Whatever is publicly trading, if it's already at a high valuation, typically it won't have a higher return in the next cycle, because people in crypto are always looking for the new shiny thing, right? So basically, while Ethereum did well last cycle, it didn't have the same returns it did back in 2017 to 2018. And in the same manner, Solana did well, did 1000x return or more. I don't expect it to do 1000x again next cycle. If anything, it might do a 10 to 100x, right? So the returns will decrease. However, early stage projects, And some projects maybe launched during a bear market, this cycle or last cycle, but have not really experienced a parabolic bull run, those could do 100x returns, right? So I would say you'd have to categorize the bull run into different categories and into different narratives, right? So the narratives that could do well, I mentioned narratives we like: ZK, cross-chain interoperability, right? Layer zeros, modular blockchains, L2s, and new L1s, right? So we've got Aptos, Sui. I'd look for others that have lower valuations, right? So we mentioned some modular blockchains and L2s, the ones we're watching. We've got Roosh, Movement Labs, gaming. I think could do well, and metaverse, right? So if we think the whole metaverse is going to be big, because we saw Mana, Decentraland, all these metaverse coins do well once Facebook rebranded to Meta. And now if we think, okay, the Apple Vision Pro, whatever it's called, right? The headset for Apple, if that I think that's launching sometime next year, 2024. If that launches and there's some crypto apps in their app store, or people figure out a way to do that with crypto, that's a big narrative that could do well, right? And I would not be surprised if there are 100x's in that narrative, right? So we like GameStop for gaming. Excuse me. But there are other projects out there for gaming that could do well. So gaming and metaverse. What else? Yeah, I think that's what's coming to mind right now. Why does Cash have a low investor rating? You'd have to just check the investor rating. It kind of tells you why it has a low investor rating. So if you break down the fundamentals and all that, that's on the site. Let me skip that for now. Top AI projects that aren't trading yet. Oh, that are not trading yet. I think the one we covered on the site was Tensor, but I think that's trading. Actually, is it trading? Yeah, there's BitTensor. We did a code review on this. The code review was good, but let me see if it's trading. So let me just go to token metrics real quick. Actually, my browser's, maybe I have too many tabs open. Tensor, BitTensor. Yeah, so the token is called TAO, T-A-O. Yeah, I think it was trading. I think it had this set of, last time I checked, $1 billion FDV. Yeah, so still at $1 billion FDV. So this would not fit. But there was a post we had seen before. Let me see if I can find it. Was it ZKML? Yeah, so let me just see here. This is actually a post from, I think 1KX, the fund. But basically, they're looking at zero-knowledge machine learning, right? ZKML, evolving the intelligence of smart contracts through zero-knowledge cryptography. And I think the projects they shared here, I don't know if all these have tokens, right? So if they haven't launched yet, we would have to speculate whether there's going to be a token model. But going to the list of projects, actually, let me just see which ones. Just give me 1 second here. I think there was also a post on Twitter. All right, so yeah, I think ZKML is definitely worth looking at if you're trying to get ahead of the whole AI narrative, but also ZK narrative where you've combined both AI and ZK. So let me see what projects they covered. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, so these are different. This is a chart. All right, so these are different projects or let's first go through the whole ecosystem and the categories this person has here, right? So we have what they call model to proof compilers. So you have these other products, basically EZKL, NIL, RISC-0, ZKML, Keras-2, CIRCOM, Linear A. Then you have generalized proving systems. You got Halo 2, Plonky 2, Nova, Winterfell, Growth 16. You have ZKML specific proving systems where you have Zator, ZATOR. You have ZKCNN. Then you have the applications, right? So you've got Modulus Labs, Gensen, AI Coliseum, Giza, ZCAPTCHA, ZK9, Hunter Z Hunter, and WorldCoin. WorldCoin has actually been talked about a lot in the press. It's the whole orb device from Sam Altman, also the other co-founder of OpenAI. Kind of crazy that they're trying to create this device that scans your iris, and using ML, they're launching a coin that's meant to be, I guess, a universal income or universal cryptocurrency. But I would begin here. This is a good initial start. We've now looked at all these projects, but I think this is a good start of projects that haven't launched yet that you can look at, right? But let me see, there's any that came to mind that we liked. Is this? Yeah, okay, so Modulus Labs is one that we're actually looking at research-wise. It's called Modulus Labs, verifying machine intelligence since 2022, using the world's fastest ZK AI prover. Actually, was this on the list? Let me just go back to this picture. Yeah, right here, Modulus Labs. So I think this is one that has caught our attention, but they don't really have much here. So let's actually pull up this post here. Yeah, the world chapter 6, the world's first on-chain AI game. Yeah, so I'll just look into Modulus Lab. That's one we'll share. Actually, the world's first on-chain AI project. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is it says the world's first fully on-chain AI trading bot. Okay, interesting. What is this? Yeah, so basically ZK and AI as a narrative. I don't know if there's going to be a token for this. Okay, it looks like this has been trading for 46 days. Yeah, so Modulus Labs is the one I would be looking at for now. And then all these others we mentioned on the tweet. So I'd say that's a good place to start for projects that have not launched yet. I think we actually looked at Giza. Let me just double check their site. Giza DAO. Okay, let's see, maybe this is already trading. Okay, now this is different. We're looking for, yeah, Giza Tech.xyz, building the open economy for AI. Yeah, I think we looked at it. They're building on Starkware, which is actually a narrative or an ecosystem that's trending. Going back here, right? Aztec, actually no, not Aztec. Starknet. Over 100 developers here, right? So it's on the up and up. And if you're bullish on that ecosystem, I think, and you like AI, worth looking into Giza, building the open economy for AI, an alternative path for the collective development of AI. Yeah, I think we looked at it, but we did not invest in the private round. I think was it token model? Or either that or it was early stage, but worth putting this on the watch list if you like ML, AI, and Starkware. All right, so those are the top AI projects on our radar. Moving on, I'm gonna skip this. Do you see AI launchpads like ChainGPTs doing well in the bull market, even if solely due to narrative? Yes, but I think it's overvalued. I would not personally put money in those. If we do chain GPT, yeah, over $100 million FDV, market cap under 10 million, but that's a lot of inflation, right? Basically, you have 10 times the supply that has to hit the market. So that's to do a 10x just to maintain the price. All right, so that's not good. Right? I didn't even know they had a launchpad, and I think the tokenomics need more work, in my opinion. So I didn't even know they had a launchpad. So it seems like they're trying to do everything. So I personally would not be looking at that. Let me just clean this up here. All right, a question we get a lot: if you only had $10,000 to invest, and you can choose one coin, which one will it be and why? I would say cash, because this question is completely wrong. This is horrible investing, right? And we say,
Please don't take the L. Never taking no L's if the Lord.
like, this kind of thinking is going to get you wrecked. You're going to lose all your money, and it's going to zero, right? You never want to invest anything into one coin, right? So I want to veto this and say, throw this out, throw the baby out with the bathwater for this question, and rephrase it to: if you had $10,000 to invest, how would you manage risk while still trying to make money, right? Because no matter how smart you are, no matter having the perfect system, you're going to lose all your money doing it this way, right? I'd rather take $10,000 and put it in 10 to 20 coins, right? Because putting it all in one coin, you're not going to do well, right? If you force me to choose, I'll just say Ethereum, right? Because the whole rule number one of investing, as mentioned by Warren Buffett, is don't lose money. Rule number two, don't lose money, right? Or rather, don't forget rule number one, right? So if you're putting all your money in one coin, and these are degen coins, altcoins under $100 million market cap, or even under $1 billion FTV, you're going to lose all your money, right? So I would not be doing any of that, right? But if you told me, hey, what projects do I like for 10K? Hey, give me 10 projects for 10K, right? I'm going to put $1,000 in those 10 projects and wait till summer 2025 to hopefully make a 10x or more. I would say maybe 10x minimum on each project, and preferably 100x on most of those projects. That's a better question, right? So let's rephrase it: $10,000 across 10 coins, $1,000 each, right? Basically 10% into each project that we think can do 100x. Goes back to the same list, right? Now, I would preface this by saying you have to be swinging for the fences if you're looking for 100x, and you have to be comfortable that you lose all your money. Right? Don't cry if you lose your money, right? That's part of investing. So, 10 coins, 1K each. Okay, I'll do two lists. I'll do those 10 for those that are trading on exchanges, and 10 for those that are not on exchanges, right? To kind of give exposure to both. So if we go to, actually, do I have a watch list here? Might be easier. I'm not sure if this account has my saved watch list. Okay, maybe not. Okay, but here I'm just gonna maybe just speak. Okay, that's not working. Okay, so let's go back to investor grade. Okay, I'm gonna close. I should close more tabs. Okay, so we're gonna say let's see what filters I have. So I'm going to remove the market cap. Actually, yeah, let's keep that. Trading volume, 10 million or more for daily trading volume. Then we're going to say actually FTV less than, we're going to say, let's do less than 10 billion for now. I might change that because there will be some large caps here just to manage risk. Then investor grade, we're going to say 60% and higher. All right. So, and then we're going to say, let's try Sortino ratio 1 and higher, just to see what we get on the list. All right, so now I'm gonna let's sort by ascending FTV. Actually, let's begin at the top. That'll be safer because we always have to manage risk, right? So, actually, I'm sorry, not that's not what I want. Let's sort by investor grade. All right, yeah. So we've got Cosmos. I like Cosmos. I think, as mentioned, I think that's going to do well next cycle. And you have Cosmos. They have Atom 2.0, and they're changing their tokenomics to give more utility. So bullish on Cosmos. We have Phantom here, but I'm not sure whether that's one I would be going with right off the bat. So I'm going to skip this for now. So we're still at Cosmos. Lido DAO, if you're bullish on Ethereum, liquid staking, even though it's the largest, it's the market leader, sector leader, we've been bullish on this since like over 2 years, almost 3 years. Basically, since it launched, we covered this as one of our code review projects and hidden gems. So I think that makes sense. It gives you exposure to Ethereum because it has high correlation with ETH. Anchor, we like Anchor. I'll put that third. Definitely Anchor Network. IDEX, I've covered it before. It gives you exposure to basically trading, DEX, derivatives, perpetuals, building on Polygon ZK. Injective, we like. Basically, it's app chain for DeFi. It's basically a blockchain just for DeFi applications and trading. Currently at about what, $700 million FTV. Bullish on this. I'll definitely have that on there. Polygon, we still have Polygon here. All right, so let me just double check. So Cosmos 1, Lido. So Cosmos Atom 1, Lido DAO, LDO 2, Anchor Network 3, IDEX, IDEX 4, Injective, INJ 5, Polygon, Matic 6. Ocean Protocol gives you that data AI play. Ocean, right, is their symbol. 7. Harmony, I'm actually probably going to skip Harmony for now until there's more fundamentals improvement on chain and developers. Because actually this, I don't think Harmony is even here on this list. Yeah, 25. Yeah, I would opt for a different ecosystem where tech is good. Just, I think they give away too much money to the DAOs. I mean, too much grants to developers, and they kind of rug pulled, basically. All right, so we were what at 7, I believe. Render metaverse computing, AI computing. I would add that, honestly. 8. Would I get back into Helium? Honestly, I'm gonna skip on Helium. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna skip on that. ARPA at $100 million FTV. Chinese narrative, blockchain backed by Binance and Coinbase. I'll put that in there as my degen play. I think it's there's never a safe play, but relative to the valuation, the tech, the fundamentals, and the backers, I will put that in there as a 9th project. Then would I put in Sandbox? We prefer Sandbox over Decentraland, I believe. But let me see what else is there. So on this list, yeah, Sandbox makes sense. Let me actually see Magic. Yeah. Let me just take a quick look here on what Magic does. Okay, so looking at this, okay, it says Treasures is a decentralized gaming ecosystem. Okay, yeah, so maybe as a gaming play, Treasure or Magic. Let me see what the FTB is. Under 300 million, yeah, I would go with it. Not financial advice. I'm just looking purely based on the investor grade and this. But I would have to actually look at the full tokenomics. Okay, let me just give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I think Magic, let me just do a quick scan at this. Games and the worlds that delight the masses. So it's a gaming project. I think it was on Coinbase, if I recall. Let's see are there backers over here? Okay, let's go back to the site. Let's see where it's trading. It's on Binance, BitGet, OKX. Yeah, I mean, so that's going back to the question earlier, right? 10 projects for 10K on public markets, right? Those are the ones, right? So quick recap again. We had Cosmos, LDO, DAO, Anchor Network, IDEX, Injective, Polygon, Ocean, Render, ARPA, and Magic. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, if you told me, okay, private markets, most of those are going to be projects we already backed on the venture side, right? So for us, TM Ventures, our fund. But if I had to pick, I do like all of them, but the ones I like, obviously AstroDAO. Like I forgot that. That's actually already trading on exchanges or DEXs. But I like AstroDAO. Obscuro. So yeah, so not counting AstroDAO, I would say Obscuro, right? Ola VM, which I don't think has been added here yet. I'm not sure why. I have to check with our team. Basically, for private markets, I would say Obscuro, right, as one. Basically, Ethereum hybrid optimistic rollup VM. Let me close all these other tabs. 2, Ola VM, ZK VM as well. So kind of doubling down on that narrative, hoping one of those two is going to be a winner. Dojima Network, right? Interoperability, cross-chain narrative. Also has Ethereum EVM, cross-chain, and cross-chain across all these other blockchains. Right, so that's 3. GameSwift, 4, right? Gaming narrative and ZK EVMs and Polygon, right? So going back here to the top, sorry if I'm going too fast. That's 4. Nullis lending exposure to Cosmo ecosystem. That's 5. This one is they launched. We're actually going to be running a node for this. Actually, I didn't cover Blockless. Actually, I have an interview coming up with them soon. Blocklist Network. So that's what. Hold on. Obscuro, Ola, Dojima, GameSwift, Blocklist. That's 5. All right. This basically, it's more like a Web3 SDK for developers, right? This honestly reminds me of Chainlink. Right? This is, I would say, it's kind of like what we hope to be our Chainlink for 2017, right? So for those who followed me for a while, you know, I was early investor in Chainlink. I was actually in the private sale, but unfortunately I did not hodl long enough. I sold all my Chainlink in 2018 in the bear market, and the rest is history, right? But Blocklist kind of reminds me of gives me the same vibes. So Blocklist is 5. Interview should be coming out sometime next week. Then if we had to, let me see. Let me see what other projects we like. Actually, Smooth. Let me check Smooth. Some of these others have higher FTV, so Smooth, the future parallel begins here. Yeah, Smooth is a high performance module that enhances the TPS of layer 2 and app chain by up to 5 times. EVM compatible. Yeah, I would add Smooth as number 6. So they're saying incentivized testnet Q4, mainnet launch Q1 next year. Worth looking into. And I think they had some news. I think they partnered up with some blockchain. Let me just double check their Twitter. So, okay, yeah. So it's Conflux they're partnering with. Yeah. So it says delighted to collaborate with Conflux in jointly developing the first layer 2 solution that supports parallel execution. Yeah. So I guess that's a partnership they have with them. But this is one I would look at. 6th. One other one we like is actually Making Moves. I'm not so sure about the token model because we do make some equity investments, but typically for token launch. Wallchain, right? They actually just recently graduated from Alliance DAO. This is more of an MEV play. Right? It's basically an extension you put into your browser that helps protect you from MEV bots. Right? So I would say this is number 8. Right? They have pretty good list of backers. Ourselves. Cogitant Ventures, Woodstock, Orange DAO, the YC DAO. I think Neo Global Capital as well. Let me double check. Yeah, NGC Ventures. All right, so number 7. Private markets, I mean, it's kind of tough because most of these, you have to kind of just wait things out, right? Did I have Gravity here? Let me just double check. Blacklist developer. Yeah, I think the rest you can kind of just keep in cash and just kind of wait for new projects as they come along. I don't want to give too much exposure, but yeah, but I think that's what I would do with the 10K. If you force me to choose, because we do have more than 10 investments on the fund side, if you force me to choose, I think Nillion is definitely an interesting project. I wouldn't mind having some exposure to that. Ethos X as well, but I think token model is still up in the air. Dolomite, I think, is one we like because we're at 7, right? Let me see. Okay, maybe Airchains. Like let me just kind of go through all these. Yeah, Nillion. This is actually a very technical project. Basically, the secure processing layer of Web3. Yeah, I would say this could be number 8. Very, very technical project. I think by basically a bunch of PhDs. So we got that. Dolomite, if you're looking for basically a DEX on Arbitrum. All right, we're investors in this alongside Coinbase Ventures and some other funds. Yeah, Coinbase Ventures, NGC, and some other funds. Let me see. So that's what is that a 9? Let me just, yeah. So I said Nillion 8, Dolomite 9. Airchains I like actually, but token model is very, very early, if any. All right, but basically, I would say Airchains is probably a direct competitor with Anchor. All right, we got in at $20 million FDV evaluation. Right, lets anybody deploy blockchains in seconds. Right, so think of this as kind of like basically this says deploy in seconds, incorporate blockchain technology with ease. Basically, roll up as a service. Right, so you can launch your own blockchain on all these networks. Right, so we've got Ethereum, Arbitrum, Near, Cosmos, Polygon. Right. But I would say token model is very, very early, if any, but roll up as a service. All right. So we invested, Polygon Ventures invested, and some others. Actually, I think that might be new, the Polygon Venture. That's interesting. But yeah, that's the 10. All right, so let's go back to the AMA. What conferences will the Token Metrics team or yourself be at this year? Yeah, the next conference on the radar we have is Token 2049 in Singapore. Right, we last went back in 2018, and that was a pretty good conference. So that's the one we have on the radar right now. Don't really have any others. We did attend ETH Denver and Consensus, and we did have a meetup during NFT NYC, but this is the one on the radar for now. We don't have any other conferences yet. But I would say we likely will have, and probably will have an event for our community at Token 2049 for those that want to meet up in person. But yeah, this is basically the only thing on the radar thus far. Okay, all right. Archway, new layer 1 blockchain on Cosmos. Does this have the potential? Possibly. Actually, we were looking at this before, I think the week before it was announced that it was going to go on CoinList, because they were raising capital privately. Good backers, right? CoinList typically has good research and good due diligence. Projects that go on there typically do well. Sometimes, like Solana was on there. Casper was on there, didn't do well because valuation-wise it wasn't too good, and was bear market, I believe. But I mean, this could do well. Now, I think I have to double check if our team's still looking into this. Let me double check something. Archway. Okay, I don't think we finished. Yeah, I don't think we reviewed it because just valuation was high. But this, I would say, just looking at this early on, it does have potential. It does have potential, right? Now, I think they're doing. Let me see CoinList. Actually, I think CoinList is going to be blocked in the US. But I think they're raising what, 200 million FTV, about there. It has potential, but we'll provide more analysis on this later on. But earlier on, I would say it does have potential, not financial advice. Okay, let's make this. Actually, let me see how we're doing. Yeah, we've got an hour and a half. Let me just check the chat and see how we're doing. If there are any questions for us. Any thought on the Atom and Matic dump today? Any prediction on how low it might dump? Well, I'll just say use the trader grid on Token Metrics for any short-term trading. I think they're dumping because of the whole SEC lawsuit against Binance. I think even Coinbase, basically what they're basically saying, these tokens are securities, but they have to prove that in court, right? So because they do plan to challenge that. And I think Binance USD listed them, and I believe so did Robinhood. So I think because of that, liquidity is drying up and all that's happening. All right, yeah, I think let's end things there. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure, as usual. And as we like to say,
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo.
the moon is not the limit to the moon and beyond. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.